Hello and welcome to this video on how to use the JMP software for easy latent growth curve modeling. My name is Geiser. I'm an instructor and statistical consultant with QuantFish. In this video, I want to show you how to use the JMP Pro software to estimate latent growth curve models in an almost completely automated fashion. So this is a great program that allows you to run structural equation models, confirmatory factor analysis models, and other models, including growth curves, through a point-and-click interface by drawing a path diagram or even automatically generating a path diagram. So it's very user-friendly and very powerful. So let's get started and let's take a look at how we can analyze growth curve models in JMP. So you can see here I have JMP already open on my computer, and so now I can open a data file. I already recently imported one that I'm going to use here. You can import data files into JMP in a variety of formats, including Excel files, SPSS files, simple text files, and others. So I'm going to open this data file, and you can see I have 4 columns here which refer to 4 different time points, and so now I can look at changes across time with a latent growth curve model. And in JMP, this is done by going to Analyze, Multivariate Methods, and then Structural Equation Models. And so growth curve models are a special type of longitudinal confirmatory factor analysis, longitudinal structural equation models. So we find this here, these models under this option for structural equation models. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to select variables for the analysis, in this case all 4 variables, so those will be defined as our model variables. And then if you had a grouping variable for a multi-group analysis, you could define that grouping variable here under groups. In this case, we don't have that. So then the next thing that we would do is check out the estimation method. So the default is maximum likelihood, ML, and FIML if you have missing data. You can also use maximum likelihood with robust inference. Currently, this does not allow us to use ordinal variables or binary variables, but this is something that will be added to this program in the near future. So far, this assumes that you have continuous indicators of your latent growth curve model or your latent growth factors. Next, we're going to click OK, and then we get a dialog window that we can draw a path diagram in. So you could now go ahead here and you could manually insert latent factors in the path diagram that then would be the growth factors. However, this would be pretty tedious, and there is an automated option here in JMP that is very useful. When you go to model shortcuts at the bottom, you can see there are a few default settings here for longitudinal analysis that you can select from. You can select an intercept only latent growth curve model, meaning a no change model where you only have a random intercept factor as a baseline model. You can choose a linear growth curve model. You can choose a quadratic growth curve model. You can choose a latent basis growth model, which would estimate loadings freely on the slope factor so that you can determine the shape of the growth trajectories from the data rather than imposing a linear or quadratic slope. And also you can choose an option that is called here fit and compare growth models. And that's really useful because this then automatically generates a number of these for you, so that then you don't have to go through each and every model individually. And so let's pick this option and let's see what this does. You can see here the explanations here are specifies, fits, and compares no growth, linear growth, and quadratic growth models. So what you would not get under this option is the latent basis model that we can then later on check out separately. But let's pick this option. You can see then automatically there are a number of different models that have been fit to the data now, 5 different models. The first one is the unrestricted or saturated model, which is mostly used for computing the chi-square test of model fit. Next is an independence model, which is used for computation of standard incremental fit indices, such as the standard CFI and standard TLI. And then we also get a no growth model. So that's the intercept only model. It's also sort of like a baseline model where we're assuming that variables aren't uncorrelated, but we're assuming that the variables don't change across time in their true scores, that all changes that we see across time are simply due to random measurement error. And you can see here this no growth model has a highly significant chi-square, indicating that this hypothesis of no change across time is rejected. It's a lot better than the chi-square for the independence model, because this model does not assume independence of the variables, however, assuming no changes in the true scores across time. That's also not acceptable. So this model is rejected, as is the independence model. And then next is the linear growth curve model, which here is not rejected for an alpha level of 0.05. You can see the p-value of 0.4783 is not significant at all, as it says here, or not at the 0.05 level. And so this indicates that the model here fits the data well. It's not rejected. Also, you can see that the other fit indices here look good. So this would be an indication that a linear growth model here may be sufficient. Next is the quadratic growth model, which also has a non-significant chi-square, albeit it's not as good, this p-value. This model has far fewer degrees of freedom, 1 as opposed to 5. And so this is because now we're fitting this additional growth factor, the quadratic growth factor, which then also has a covariance with both the other factors and has a variance parameter. And so that model is less parsimonious than the linear growth curve model. So we can then select between the two. Probably we would pick the linear growth curve model unless we had a really good reason to assume that growth here or change is non-linear. You can also see that chi-square difference tests are being performed automatically between the different models. You can see the no growth model versus linear growth model is highly significant or yields a highly significant chi-square difference, indicating that linear growth is better. Here it fits the data better than no growth. No growth versus quadratic is also significant, and linear growth versus quadratic growth is not significant in its chi-square difference, indicating that linear growth may be sufficient here as an assumption. And in fact, this is the data generating process here. Those are simulated data. So those were generated by a linear growth curve model. So a linear model is good for these data. Now we can look at, after doing the model selection, which is very neatly organized here, we can then, after selecting a model, take a look at the detailed output for the model of choice. I'm going to walk you a little bit through all these models, although we would probably pick the linear model here, obviously. And so the first one here is the no growth model. And so when you click on this arrow button here, then you can get detailed outcomes for this no growth model. So that's the intercept only model with no slope factor, and you get the fit statistics again that we've already seen, and then you get the detailed parameter estimates, you get the factor mean for the intercept factor, you get the loadings, which here are all fixed to 1, and then we have error variances for the y variables, the indicators or observed variables, and we have a variance also for the intercept factor, which here is 201. So and those estimates are also displayed in the path diagram that's automatically generated. Next is the linear growth curve model. That's the one that fits the data best. And so here you can see the diagram for the linear growth curve model with unstandardized parameter estimates. Again, you get those also here in the table on the left-hand side, along with standard errors, z-statistics, and p-values. So you can also conduct tests of statistical significance. If you would like to see standardized parameter estimates, also then you could get those by right-clicking on the diagram and then show estimates standardized. This gives you the standardized solution, which here may not be all that relevant. However, one parameter that we would like to look at in standardized metric is probably the correlation between intercept and slope. You can see here this correlation is negative, 0.281. That's a little bit easier to interpret than the covariance, which was -10, and that's not standardized, so this doesn't tell us as much as does the correlation here. You can see that JMP uses color coding. Positive coefficients are given in blue, negative coefficients are given in red, so that you can easily see when a coefficient, like a correlation, is negative. And so this is here the correlation. So you can also get those standardized estimates in a table by clicking on this little red arrow here that's facing downward and going to, when you click on that, there's a whole bunch of additional output that you can generate. So such as standardized parameter estimates, confidence intervals, fit indices. For mediation models, you could also plot or print the total effects, indirect effects, specific indirect effects, and a whole bunch of other things, including R-squared, modification indices, and other things can be requested here. So there's a lot of other resources and output that you can get in JMP. So it's nice that this is neatly organized here so that you can easily find it, but it doesn't overwhelm you in the output because it's not given right away unless you ask for it. So here in this case, I want to show you the standardized parameter estimates. Then you can see we get this additional table with the standardized estimates where we then also find the correlation at the bottom here that we've already seen in our diagram right here. So then you can also hide them again so that it's not overwhelming. So if you don't want to see that, you can hide it, and then you can go back to the other output here. So in this case, we can go to the next one, the quadratic growth curve model. When we click on that, you can see then also the path diagram for the quadratic model with unstandardized parameter estimates here as the default, fit statistics, parameter estimates in the table as before. So all these things are provided then automatically when you use this option, which is very convenient. Now, one model that we have not done yet is the model with free basis curve. So one where you have an intercept and a slope factor, but loadings on the slope factor are unrestricted, are not fixed. And so we can get that by going back up to our path diagram, model specification here. And then we could now, of course, we could go ahead here and mess with the diagram, delete factors, and then delete loadings that are fixed on the slope factor, but that would be too complicated. So I'm just gonna simply go here and I'm gonna give this model a name, latent basis curve model. And then I'm gonna go back into the model shortcuts option. And I'm gonna select longitudinal analysis, latent basis growth model, and then you can see automatically this is provided here. So now we have a model with only one slope factor, and you can see the first three loadings here are free. So, or the first one is 0, so the slope factor does not have a loading here, or y1 doesn't have a loading on the slope factor, so that's 0. And then this loading here is not fixed. It's hard to see because there's the 1, but that's the intercept factor. So intercept factor loadings are fixed to 1. And then the y2 slope loading is not fixed. It's unrestricted, unconstrained. The y3 loading is also unconstrained, and the y4 loading is fixed to 1. So this is the model with free loadings. And so then we can run this by clicking on the run button. And then when we scroll down, we can see that in our table now a sixth model has been added, latent basis growth model. And you can see this model does not fit so well. So here we have a significant p-value for the chi-square. So this would, the linear model would be preferred here. And this model with 2 estimated loadings actually does not fit the data so well. And so this would not be a model of our choice, but it could be in other cases. And so you get this model, then you get the estimates for this model. Then at the bottom here, you can see there was actually also an error here, or an improper solution for this model. So this had a negative variance estimate, so you get a warning for that. And then this is also an indication that this isn't a good model for these data here. We can see if we can find that negative variance estimate. You can see here the slope factor here has a negative variance, so that's not a good thing. And that's, in this case, it makes sense that this doesn't work so well, because the true model here is a linear growth curve model that generated the data, so this isn't the right model for these data. However, I wanted to show you that this is also something that is included by default here, or as a default option in JMP. Now, of course, you could specify other more complex growth models simply by defining your own latent variables, which you can do here. So you can define latent variables by simply selecting indicators, and so you could have all kinds of growth curve models. You can fix the loadings in whichever way you want, so you can fix a parameter to a certain value in the diagram. So this has a lot of flexibility for other types of growth curve models as well. I hope you found this video useful to learn about growth curve modeling in the JMP Pro software. My name is Christian Geiser, and I'll see you in the next video.